Have you ever been stuck between a rock and a hard place where, honestly, every single option just seems like a total disaster? Well, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking an absolutely fascinating and intensely high-stakes survival matrix straight out of ancient texts. We're looking at a story that blends terrifying physical danger with some seriously deep ethical philosophy. We're going to explore the Khandava forest dilemma, where duty, survival, and ultimate sacrifice just crash into each other in a truly unforgettable way. Let's dive in.
So, picture this. The Khandava forest is completely ablaze. We're talking about an unstoppable, sky-ranging fire devouring literally everything in its path. It's this immense, terrifying inferno that's lighting up the whole universe, burning the forest to absolute ashes and licking the tallest trees with giant tongues of flame. And trapped right smack in the middle of this unstoppable fire, a helpless family of birds. The flames are rapidly closing in, spreading total fear, and for this poor family, escape seems, well, completely impossible.
And this brings us to Jarita, the mother bird. As you can imagine, she is filled with absolute anxiety. Her infants are completely unfledged. They have immature understanding, they don't have feathers, and they literally don't even have feet yet to run away. They are 100% physically helpless. She quickly realizes there's just no way she can physically escape while carrying all of her children with her. It's a truly gut-wrenching moment. Overwhelmed and weeping, she cries out, "Whom amongst my sons shall I leave behind, and whom shall I carry with me?" She can't bear to abandon them, because her heart is just too distressed, but she simply cannot save them all.
Section 1. An impossible motherly choice.
Now, in the midst of all this panic, Jarita doesn't just ask the obvious question, like, how do we survive? Instead, she asks a much heavier, far more profound question. What act is consistent with duty? Even while staring down a roaring inferno, she's paralyzed by this concept of dharma, the profound moral obligation to do what's right, even when every single available option pretty much guarantees a tragedy. She's actively trying to calculate the most righteous path here. At one point, she even considers just throwing her wings over her babies and dying right alongside them simply because she cannot find a dutiful way out.
Section 2. The Father's Heavy Prophecy.
See, this whole situation isn't just about basic biological survival. It is heavily complicated by a crushing legacy left by an absent father. Talk about overbearing parental pressure, right? He took off some time ago, dropping a massive weight of expectations onto this family. Jarita, the eldest, literally carries the fate of the entire race on his tiny shoulders. The second son, Sariskaka, is destined to expand the ancestors' lineage. Stamvamitra, the third, is meant for a life completely devoted to asceticism. And Drona, the youngest, he's prophesied to become the foremost expert in the Vedas. So yeah, these aren't just baby birds. They're the sole refuge of their deceased ancestors and the spiritual future of an entire lineage. If they burn, a massive grand destiny burns right along with them.
But then the infants speak up, and honestly what they say is incredibly startling. Relinquishing thy affection for us, go thou to a place where there is no fire. It's this moment of shocking, just completely cold logic from these helpless babies. They're actually urging their mother to abandon them. They reason that if they die, well, she can survive and have more children to fulfill their father's wishes. But if she dies trying to save them, the entire race will truly end. They tell her point blank not to let affection cloud her judgment, because that affection guarantees the destruction of both her and their entire future lineage. Wild, right?
Section 3. The Mousehole Strategy.
Jarita hears her children's plea, but come on, she's a mother. She simply cannot bring herself to abandon them. Instead, she desperately engineers this massive gamble, basically a makeshift bunker. The plan is super risky. First, the infants are supposed to enter a mouse hole in the ground near the base of their tree. Second, she's going to cover the hole's mouth with dust to protect them from the intense heat and smoke. Third, they wait out the roaring inferno in relative safety. And finally, she'll return to dig them out once the coast is clear. To her, it's the absolute only loophole she can see to escape this blazing fire.
But, as we've seen, the infants are brutally realistic. Without feathers, we are but so many balls of flesh, they tell her. They apply this dark, analytical irony to the situation, immediately recognizing their own severe physical vulnerability. They know the grim reality here. Hiding in that hole essentially hand-delivers them as a helpless, bite-sized snack to whatever carnivorous mouse currently calls that tunnel home.
Section 4. Choosing an Honorable Death.
At this point, the infants realize escape is just a fantasy. This shifts the terrifying survival dilemma into a really grim logic puzzle. They break down their inevitable demise into two bleak choices. Option A, take the mouse hole, which means guaranteed death by being eaten by a predator. Or Option B, remain in the open, which means death by the sky-ranging fire. They are perfectly aware that they are trapped between two absolute calamities, and so now they have to choose exactly how they are going to meet their end.
So they map out this fascinating matrix of consequence. If they take the whole, they're devoured, an end they classify as fundamentally ignoble. I mean, scurrying in the dark just to be eaten? Not great. But if they remain in the open, they get destroyed by the sky-ranging fire, an end culturally and spiritually considered approved by the wise. They logically conclude that a guaranteed ignoble death by a predator is just way worse than burning in the light. With that, they deliver their final, incredibly stoic resolution to their mother. Reflecting upon both the calamities, a death by fire is preferable to a death by being eaten up. They formally declare that the destruction of the body in fire is a culturally approved way for the wise to pass. It is just a stunning display of rationality and honor from these tiny creatures that, honestly, just moments ago described themselves as mere balls of flesh.
Which leaves us with a pretty profound question. Could you apply such cold, calculated logic in the face of absolute destruction? We've unpacked an incredible ancient scenario today that really tests the limits of rationality when survival is permanently off the table. It highlights the heavy, heavy burden of duty and the agonizing paralysis of choosing between two ultimate evils. Thanks so much for exploring this explainer with me, and hey, keep questioning everything.